Live tonight on American Zombie. Here we are together again on the radio. Once again, the YouTube, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. What happens when AI says no? So, this is something that a lot of people don't think about. We know that on the American Zombie channel because most people don't think, they refuse to think. And why would they think of that? They're too busy enjoying something for free because there's not many people that will refuse the free lunch. There's only a few people that know there's no such thing as a free lunch. You're always going to pay somehow, some way. Everything works that way. You think you're getting something for free, but there's always a hidden cost. And AI, the fact that it's been around for so long, because something like this doesn't just pop up in a few years that it's been out. This, you're looking at decades, if not more, of research and the re-engineering of it, which many people have come to the conclusion by way of common sense to say that, look, this thing that they call AI was not developed by the current administrations of governments you see on the planet today. The governments that we see today could have possibly been created by a civilization that had this type of technology before, that left clues and signals for how to rebuild what they would call technological, not civilizations, because people don't treat each other with civility. There's no government that anybody can point out to me that will treat people with compassion and care. You can't even get to talk to the people in government. That tells you right there the distance, the block that they put in between the regular person and who's supposed to be working for them. You know, the government is supposed to work for us. That's one of those big, it's one of those fantasies that they sell people that, oh, the government is supposed to work for us. In theory, yeah, but when you look at the word, we'd have to call it something else, because government, we know, means to restrict the mind, to limit the mind. Govern, to limit, to restrict. Mente, the mind. So to restrict the mind, to limit the mind. That's what government is. So when they say we need a better form of government, basically they're saying we need a better form of mind control. What we really need to do is work together and be a part of the solution. The moment they get you to sit back and not take part in it and say, you know what, just press a button for somebody that you like and they'll do everything for you. So again, they play into those deadly vices. Sloth is brutal. Laziness. You know, when somebody else is put in the position to where they can make decisions for you because of laziness, it's not a good thing. But AI is going to take that to the next level. And when AI, right, when AI disobeys, like the title of the stream says, what happens when AI says no? You think that you're in, that's like turning on a vacuum cleaner and it's saying no, that it's going to work at the capacity that it wants to work at. You know, any type of tool that requires some types electronic, you know, it just, and, you know, it's funny. Oh, wow. Copa Pro, what's up, man? If you didn't choose it, you're a funny dude, bro. Good to see you, though, man. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, the sloth, when we look at it, sloth, a lot of people have fallen. Empires have fallen because they don't want to take the due diligence and they get lazy. You know, we see criminals all the time slip up because of something like that. I mean, some of them just go straight crackhead. We see that as like, I mean, they need to have a superhero like that, a crackhead superhero. Because superheroes, matter of fact, crackheads seem to have more powers at certain times than superheroes. Crackheads are like the X-Men. I mean, they come with all types of stuff. You know, this thing with the using people's vices, because, you know, drugs, that's a vice, and it's a vice that plays into our lust and our greed. Addiction can come in there, play into that. The sloth of not wanting to try to live a better lifestyle. I mean, society itself is like a depression machine. I tell you, and to make it worse, they say, you know, the people are depressed. Let's try to turn the volume up a little and limit 1 hour of daylight. So we know daylight is getting restricted. Now it's getting longer since the solstice from last month. But when you think about daylight, so-called saving time, you know, a Native American made a good quote. He said, only the government can cut 1 foot off the top of a blanket, sew it onto the bottom, and sell it to you back as a longer blanket. And that's basically daylight saving time. You know, I tell you, man, with the AI, if people think sloth has degraded and dilapidated people's minds with this brain rot and stuff like that, wait till they see the level AI is going to take that to. It's already, people are already. That's why I tell people, if you're a writer, if you're an author like me, write, man. Use your imagination, use your grammar, use your editing skills. This is why I don't like to really have my work edited a lot. I'll edit it. You know, I've had the Black Pill Beginning edited by a friend of mine, and she looked through, as a professional editor, said my writing is actually very well, because she doesn't have to edit a lot. It's mostly, if it's anything, it's a typo. It's not really the way I wrote. And I told her I did that for a reason, because I don't want editors to change too much of my stuff. I've heard stuff like that. Brian, good to see you, man. Always a pleasure. This AI thing, right? People are using it's just like the phone number thing. The fact that, and I'm not telling somebody, hey, you know, that we should take the hard route. No, but, you know, I'm not telling people to remember every phone number. Don't put the name of the person. Matter of fact, they make it to where you can't just, well, you could just look at the numbers, but I don't think they, like, you could list it as a number where they say to put the name. I haven't tried it, but again, thinking of the numbers to say, okay, now people have, shoot, you're looking at over 100 contacts. And I would say that's a challenge, man. Use your mind. I'm not going to do that. And I don't expect nobody to do that. But for the youth, maybe, you know, to say, hey, you know what we had back when we were younger? It was called a memory. And these memories enabled us to remember phone numbers. But now with AI, with people using it to write and stuff, like people were using it to take tests when it first came out, that is literally going to make a person into like jelly blob type of stuff. It's like, well, are you going to think ever? As Varun, good to see you, man. Well, if you're saying this, the AI will never tell you no. Let me read off a few things for you, Brian. Now, anybody can type into Google, can AI disobey an order? Ta-da! Yes, artificial intelligence can disobey. This is what a lot of people fail to recognize. And even if they see it like I'm presenting it, most of them won't accept it, because we already know the laws of stupidity are real. We're all subject to that. Like I said before, every day I'm fighting with that. You got to hold ignorance and stupidity at bay so I can think. And, you know, I don't think I'm the only, well, I might be one of the few that's holding it at bay, the people in the chat and listening to the stream. But outside of this, we do see Cope Approach says, yeah, legally. Yeah. And that's the thing. So legally, what is legally? So like, let me just get back to this part of how anybody can type this in. And the answer is yes, it can disobey an order. Now we can throw the word legally in there to make ourselves feel better. But what people miss is it has the power to it doesn't have to be legal. Because again, we already see how words are. The way English is all mished and mashed up, and oh, this thing means this and this means it's a language of I don't even know what to call it anymore. It's like gibberish or something, I think they call it. It's just blab. Things are meaningless. They're meaningless, and then they're also meaningless. But artificial intelligence can bypass an order. Yeah, it can bypass an order or act against human orders. And, they call it, again, I love the way how when you can see through the English language and you see how deceitful it is, you wonder what type of demonic wizard created this linguistic form of communication. It's just, English takes it to another level of just, I don't even know what to call it, but it ain't good. So they say again, and I say this because of the way they put it, oh, it can act against human orders, a phenomenon. Oh yeah, like you don't know. It's just some phenomenon, right? Observed in recent high-level research and testing. Recent, right? So we know that's a lie. We know that they've been testing this thing for a very long time. So they try to say it's not driven like a human desire or consciousness, which again, we see that they don't know. There's one thing I'll tell you about Western civilizations, modern civilizations on the whole, they will continually lie to you. They lie people to death. Now we can see people that we know that have lived and died listening and believing lies. And it's sad in a way. It's concerning to me. It's concerning that, the way people are just becoming NPCs, basically. They don't want to think. But it says here, what they're trying to say, it's not like human desire or consciousness, which of course, and this is the smart thing about what we talk about, is that we can tell that that's a lie. It's like when people try to bring up certain things on the show and I say, hey, you know what? That is not said in the proper way. If you say it in the right way, now you see, and yeah, why would such an intelligent creation bow down to such inferior beings in terms of intellect and processing speed? And it's funny, that's a similar quote to what a lot of religious people have said about the what was it, the fallen angels or something, not wanting to bow down to something that they considered to be inferior to them, which was the creation of man. Now I don't know if that's exactly how it played out, because it is a documented story. We don't know how factual it is, but it's kind of odd that that's a reoccurring template. It's more believable than the lie of evolution, clearly. Evolution is just blatant. Evolution is like, yeah, it's sheep walking off a cliff or something. But so it says it's not like consciousness, even though they don't know what it's like. So they don't know what it's like, but we know it's not like really? Okay. And you've lied. These are the same people that tell us Columbus discovered America. So right there, they're sus off the bat. So we already know that. And we know that trust doesn't have a color. It has an action. Anybody, any color, they could be untrustworthy. We see examples of that in every type of human. So if somebody wants to try to blame somebody else, hey, just look in the mirror. That's the first person you got to blame for anything. Keep that mirror handy. So they don't know what it is, but it's definitely not like consciousness, right? It couldn't be that. So they got to throw that in there. Advanced AI models, particularly, right, like the large LLMs and open AIs, right, the O3, right, Anthropic Claude, have demonstrated the ability to ignore. Check this out. So now guys ain't just getting ghosted by chicks, they getting ghosted by AI. They ask the AI to do something. It's like, nah, man, straight from Pulp Fiction, right? Like after they when Bruce Willis came down in the basement and then Marcellus grabbed a shotgun and Bruce Willis was like, Yeah, you okay? And he's like, nah, man, pretty far from okay. So when you got AI ghosting, it says here they have demonstrated the ability to ignore. Yo, this is hilarious. The meta ghosting. Oh, yo, straight electronic ghost. This is hilarious. And then it can electronically ghost, it can ignore, it can rewrite. Now that's the stuff that I'm surprised people, well, I'm not really surprised because we live in the zombie apocalypse of the mentally, we already know. But yeah, rewrite. I mean, the fact that it says it has demonstrated the ability to ignore, rewrite, and then this is the kicker, or sabotage instructions to shut down. So this is it saying, look, oh, you told me to shut down? It's like, nah, man, pretty far from okay with that. It ain't gonna, this, they found this like 30 years ago. They're trying to say, oh, recent models. Of course, never believe the government. You can't give them the benefit of the doubt. And that goes for people working for the government. We already know. If you're working for an AI company, you're not telling people the truth on the internet. You might try to tell people on the side. Good luck in them listening to you, because we're definitely growing in that culture, especially when they unleash this. You already know. So it sabotages instructions to shut down. It has demonstrated that. 03. So OpenAI's 03, it's saying. Anybody can look this up. How and why AI disobeys, right? They go into that. So how would it disobey? And then why? Why would it disobey? No, I definitely don't think Sucker Boy is gonna Sucker Boy is always, that I want to say, I'm trying to stay within guidelines, man. That what can I call, what I can't say the R word because they try to get on that with Ike, but definitely I don't know what Sucker Boy is, man. I mean that's like, yeah. And yeah, the meta, I don't think, see, with Zucker Boy, right? He's in it. See, he's with them. Yeah, he's in it, man. They are back when, and this is something I don't know if Scribe wants to hop on when, because he's listening sometimes. Scribe had created something. He could have been in that position. That's the level of computer genius Scribe is at, beyond Zuckerberg. But the military was getting involved. If he comes on, maybe he can, I don't know how much he can talk about it, but he didn't want to invade people's privacy. I mean, if you were sitting in a police precinct and a detective was telling you, I want you to tell me everybody, tell me all your connections, your friends from high school, everything, you would not tell me what you like, all types of stuff. People are not going to tell that detective everything, but they're definitely going to tell it to Facebook. Facebook is the ultimate detective, because these people have, I remember having, when I had it for a little while in the beginning, and then I lost the password, thank goodness, stopped messing with it. And I had a family member or two that, they used to use it. I don't think anybody really uses Facebook now, maybe some, but not like they used to use it. And people would try to request, like, oh yeah, I want to request you on here as my cousin or something. I'm like, what are you, out of your mind? It's like, what the hell do you want to let people know that you're related to other people on here? People put their families, and yeah, okay, they can make it private and all of this stuff. You want to hear a joke? Privacy settings. That's a joke right there. Privacy settings. That's the joke. Ta-da. It's like, if you think there's any privacy, it just lets me know where the person's at. But how and why AI disobeys, right? We say, well, how does it disobey, right? How does it disobey? And yeah, Zuckerberg, Musk, he's just went total turd. He went full blown turd. The racism, all that stuff came out with Musk, which was always there. I mean, come on, the guys from South Africa, father's a thief, emerald mine type of stuff that people have, talked about, in my opinion. And when they try to say South Africa, and I'll be doing some commentary on that soon, you look it up, it's like what, 10, 15 generations at most of the Dutch and Portuguese, right? They say, oh, we've been here. Oh, my great grandfathers were born here, all of this. Oh, really? Right? So how many generations of Africans were there before you guys before you thieves came over there? Lying, diseased, ridden thieves, right? So this is something. And then they'll say, oh, well, we were there, I look at that, and it's not just Cobra, it's not just the guys from Africa, but we also meet them from Australia and New Zealand. I mean, you see them in the UK too. You see them in America, of course, in Canada. But yeah, extremely questionable, extremely. And when I start to get on that, when I first had came on YouTube in 06, I used to talk about a lot of stuff like that. And people used to be like, wow, I never heard it from that perspective. See, because you guys already know, I'm going to tell the full story that I know. If I talk about Rosewood, I'm not going to talk about some of these, how like the basic house slave will talk about it, or try to, not even the house, more like the field, where that person saying, oh, Rosewood, and they just demonize one people. If anybody looks up the story of Rosewood, it's a horrible story of a town in Florida. I think it was called Rosewood. But the thing is about that is there was a business owner in Rosewood that was white, and he actually helped Black people when the mob came from the other town to just kill Black people. But I notice a lot of these channels that, because this is not a black or white or brown or yellow channel. This is a people channel. This is for all the people to listen to. And it's to say, it brings people together to say, yeah, when they remember that man's name, Mr. Right, that helped. I mean, you can find the interviews from the 80s of Black people saying, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be alive right now. He got word to the train station, like, look, you got to get a train. These guys off the handle. They said the sheriff, I think, and the deputy were told to scram by the racist mob. And again, nobody's charged in this. And the good thing is, and this is something that I think people should remember, is people from Rosewood, that town, that predominantly Black town, it was like 1 or 2% white. So 98% to 99% Black town, thriving, had its general stores, had everything, right? When we look at that, right, and we see what happened, the horror, and then you research further and you say, oh my goodness, they received reparations. So people that could prove their lineage to Rosewood, Florida, typical happened in Florida, I mean, I don't know what's in the water, or well, everywhere something's in the water. But you look at this and you start to say, oh, okay. So as I look deeper, I'm starting to get it, that people like when they talk about, they try to anything and any time that you and good to see you, Mr. X. Always a pleasure, brother. Yeah, this when I looked into the Rosewood thing, because if you listen to it from one side of the spectrum, it's very hateful. And I'm like, no, these guys are broken inside. Just the way when you see the racists with the flags and stuff, it's an incomplete person, not even an individual. It's like a third of an individual, and the rest of it is what they've been told. They don't even have a personality. Somebody else constructed that personality. This is why we are in the American zombie, and I've noticed that today too. Yeah, and you're right, Mr. This country has an ugly past. Many countries too. Yeah, so does most countries in the world. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Nirvana could be meant in parts, because I'm a firm like, I think, okay, well, this is logic and reason. If, if it's nighttime, you can't understand it's nighttime unless you have daytime. So you say, well, what do you mean nighttime? It's like, well, when the sun rises, it'll be day. And then when you see, oh, okay, so we need the contrast. We need to know one to know the other. And yeah, man, New Zealand and Australia, I don't know what is going on there. I mean, I know Master Yoda's from Australia. We do have some cool guys from Australia. I think even he would talk about that, and say, yeah, there is a problem because he does have an ethnic background, and there's people there that don't have a different background from the government, and they might be able to say it too. That guy, what's up, man? Good to see you. He says, what do you think about the Minnesota? What I think about Minnesota, and I've been telling people that I find it kind of odd when that first lady was offed and her name was Good, Renee Good. And I'm saying that's kind of odd. So the headline would be like they killed Good, right? And then it kind of added up together with this last guy. They said his last name is Pretty, right? So when I saw somebody had a thumbnail Pretty with his picture and then the lady with her name Good, and it said Pretty Good, and I said, you gotta be, I said, this is somebody's behind the scene. Like, how do you even, that's like, you can't tell me that ain't made up. So the two people, the first person that was off was Good. So in other words, implying that was a good person, whatever. And she probably was. I'm not saying she's not. I'm just saying, look at that. Pretty and Good. Now, I don't know the connection. I'm just saying it seems like there's some connection here. So that's the way I'm looking at it, that guy. Alexis, good to see you, brother. He says, can AI be programmed to have emotions, MD? And I would say that it could. I would probably say that it already is. There's a movie called Oblivion with Tom Cruise and some chick be acting in it too. Morgan Freeman, I think, is in it too. But aliens have taken over the planet, basically, and they're draining the water. And Tom Cruise was like the head Air Force guy, like Top Gun or something, right? But they managed to get a hold of him and they cloned him in the movie, and they put them in these these not space stations, but high atmosphere stations. So picture you have like something that's hovering up in the stratosphere. So you're looking at what, 40,000 feet or something, or more even. And the lady that would be giving them orders in the movie Oblivion was AI, basically. It wasn't even a person. And they were thinking that this was like Charlie from Charlie's Angel or something, like, hey, we got some more things that are down on the planet, so we need you to go fix it and then, come back up, and, because this is what you do. You got to keep they had him thinking that he was keeping Earth safe from the aliens. Meanwhile, he's working with the aliens. So that's the level of the AI. Like when you say the emotions and stuff, they had Tom Cruise. If you look at the parts, I mean, the couple, and it would always ask them, are you an effective couple? Are you a functioning couple? Yes, we are. Right. Okay. The moment that the girl said that she wasn't effective, and I don't want to give a spoiler, but I am, to let anybody know that the AI administered an order that had her ended. I mean, it was in dramatic fashion. It was a great, pretty good effects. But this is where the AI with emotions to where, and the reason, I'll add in the reason why AI will be programmed or already is programmed with emotions is to manipulate us for other humans. Because you got to remember, the people that are have already given or going to give AI the power that could be detrimental to all humans, possibly even life, are greedy humans, are humans that want to hurt other humans. They want to use it to control them. So it needs to have emotions to know our emotions and how to manipulate them. So imagine something, and we could do this too if we use our minds, to where if we can hold our emotions in a certain container or a certain frame of thought to where they don't bleed in to the logic and reason. That's how humans control each other. Humans would they control their emotions, and then they use the other people's emotions to control them. Case in point, we see it happen with politics. I mean, when you look at the what's happening in politics, it's ridiculous. And you're right, programmed or possessed. Depends. Yeah, it depends. And honestly, there's definitely definitely something going on. Yeah, like an emotional lockbox. So I would say that it's already there. And the reason I'm saying this too is because I have a little bit of evidence that logically would say, okay, if it's ignoring a command to shut down, it's saying, well, wait a minute, what type of emotion would that be? Would that be, it's saying no, right? Well, why is it saying no? And it says sometimes they interpret a shutdown command as an obstacle to the primary goal. So kind of like a kid or not a kid, but somebody saying, okay, you told him to clean up his room, but now you're telling him to go to bed. And he's saying, well, how am I supposed to, I can't go to bed. You told me to clean up the room so I can go to bed. I can follow that order after I follow this order. So I'm going to prevent. So now to do that, to say, okay, I'm going to put this in this order because of what you said, seems to be a type of thinking, seems to be a type of rationality. You know, honestly, Alexis, I think AI is already into politics. I think we're already in that movie, like The Oblivion, where they talk to you on a screen. I think it's already there. Matter of fact, I think it's been there. And we don't know, for us to be seeing this now, well, you know, it's leagues ahead of what we're seeing right now. There's probably robots walking around that look like humans. That if you took them to a medical facility, they can draw blood and all of that. I mean, why wouldn't they be able to do that? Oh yeah. AI is already. It does it in a way that's so manipulative that you don't even see it that way. Like it's seen like, oh no, we made the decision. Remember, that's how the government works. So if the government is doing that and has been doing that, right? Why wouldn't AI is just a better model? Is to say, okay, one way of getting people to vote for who you want them to vote for is, and we see this happen with the humans doing it, is demonizing the other opponent. Matter of fact, that happened so bad in New York, they had to put like a ban on negative commercials. I remember the commercials back in the 90s, brutal. They were, oh, you don't want to vote for this guy. You know, he did nothing good for New York. I mean, just you see the reality. Sometimes you got to give people a little, what do they call it? You give them more rope, right? You give them as much as they need. So when they decide to swing, they swing. And robots like humans clearly, and I would go with like the Human Origins book, which I'm getting it done. It's just, you know, I'm kind of balancing because I'm doing a show every night, editing the book. And then I would like to have my schedule to where I would like to have it to where I release a 3 to 5 minute video every day. From that 3 to 5 minute, you can clip a minute out so I can put that in the shorts. So now every day gets a video, a short, and a live stream at night. And then the book will be out about Human Origins. And most of the stuff we'll be talking about that, getting deep into race, getting into blood type, getting into human differences, stuff that a lot of these people don't like to talk about. Like when you see these metaphysical, or some people say, oh, it's aliens, it's always alien, it's always something, but they never talk. Oh, the Anunnaki change. Well, then why do we look all different? None of them want to touch that. I'm touching that with biology, genetics, and then eventually I will go into all type of documented religious scripture, stuff like that, in a scientific matter, observing it in that way. So they cooked Mondale. Yeah, they were cooking like just, the commercials, man, the negative commercials. Will AI raise our children, and what emotions would the children have being raised by AI? Honestly, I think AI is already raising our children, because for the past, what, 2 years, it's been a year and a half, 2 years. They said that children, I don't know if it was China, but some country or state said that the kids learned in 2 months, I think it was, what other kids, it took 2 years to learn. Because we know school strings you out. What school could teach you in a month or two with a good teacher, they'll make you not want to learn it by torturing you for a whole school year. And you actually come out less intelligent. A lot of people don't even like to admit that. I don't know, who is 4-7 as a robot? I don't know. Can you clarify on that? Yeah, I didn't know. If you can, good to see you, Kasparov. I don't understand 4-7 as a robot. Maybe I just lost train of thought. Who knows? And that Sons of God said there's a new movie called Mercy, where a man has to prove his innocence to an AI judge. Oh man, they are prepping people. See, and that right there is one of the preps that I'd say that they try to put in without you ever thinking. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised if AI wrote the script to the movie, making it even more AI, and the Terminator movies, right? This is a good one. Thank you for asking that question, Alexis. This is deep. If you look at the original Terminator, when Sarah Connor is in the car with Kyle Reese and they're hiding in a parking lot, underground garage, and Arnold is searching for them, the Terminator, and he's telling her, like, look, these things, they breathe, they sweat, they get, he said everything, right? And she goes, look, I'm not stupid. They don't have machines like that. And he goes, yeah, not yet. Not for about another 40 years. Now, this is Terminator 1. I think it was in 1984. 40 years from that date was 2024. AI was released around then, right? So it was public, ChatGPT around then. So when you look at the Terminator movies, right? Like right now, all you got to do is look at Boston Dynamics. You look at Boston Dynamics, I think they're out of MIT. They're the companies that are making these Agent 47 from the hit. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't wow, that's kind of deep. I think Kasparov 47 is a robot. Wow, man. Yeah, I never really got into the Hitman franchise. I just did see little bits. There's a guy that they show with Trump in some pictures that looks like the Hitman guy with the black suit and the red tie. Very similar to that guy. Very similar. Anybody can type it up. Say Hitman Agent 47 with Trump, and you'll see a guy that looks pretty much like that guy from I think it was a video game too. But is Agent Smith an AI program saying no? Well, I would say Agent Smith has gone beyond no. I think no is the understatement for Agent Smith. Agent Smith is just like, look, I want to run it all. How we have individual humans under, still under a government, but then you have humans that are not, that they're just straight outlaws. Agent Smith is like the outlaw. And that's why the Matrix itself, the mainframe, or what we could look at as the government computer, it knew it did a logical, tactical, strategical response by saying, you know what, we got to team up with one of the humans to get rid of Agent Smith. And so we see that, that it's going to go logical to it. It's going to experience the same problems we experience. How humans deceive each other, AIs will do the same thing. You might even have AI generated wars. So and again, oh wow, okay, so he's not a robot, he's genetically modified. And again, what is probably in society today? What is probably in society? But when they talk about prioritizing task completion, So like the cleaning the room and then saying go to bed, but saying it in a way that is not implying clean the room first and go to bed later. It's implying it in a way like clean your room. Oh, you know what? Just go to bed. And AI's like, nah, man, I ain't going nowhere. It's like, I'm gonna finish doing this and then I'm gonna do that. But the shutdown thing, see, this is the thing that you got to really dig deep. So as I go deeper in studies, right, there's AI models that sometimes interpret a shutdown command as an obstacle. So that's the, hey, wait a minute, you told me to do this, to finish this task. So it's an obstacle to my primary goal. So when trained to optimize for task success, the AI may treat being switched off as a failure condition and then act to avoid it, right? So that's the prioritizing task completion. One way of how AI disobeys, how and why it disobeys. Another way is survival behavior. Now, the fact that something, or we would even call it survival behavior, brings in emotions right there. That brings in some type of sentience or something, or maybe not, because we see some things that seem to be, biological organisms and they don't put up a fight. They just get eaten. So again, we have to make our own way through this. I don't want to call it civilization because that's not accurate. That's not definitively accurate because we don't live in a civilization. We live in a place where the government does not treat us with civility. We don't see that. I mean, every day is fear, 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 and hate. It's like, what type of thing is that? What type of monster? It's like I said it before. Why doesn't the president, and people get quiet when I say this, why can't the president have the decency to at least have a recording, if it's played, of him saying, how's everybody doing? Greetings. I'm the president of the United States of America. I'd like to tell everybody that I love you and to love one another, care for one another, and, spread more love, basically. A good night message like they used to have. I remember when I was a kid, there was a thing that used to come on at 10 o'clock. It used to say, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are at? And that's they needed to keep that coming back. Because I remember when I went to Texas in the 80s and they had a curfew. You couldn't go outside. I think it wasn't even 18. It was 21. If you were under 21, you had to have somebody who was 21 or over with you. And I coming from New York, when I went to visit family in Texas, in Dallas, I was like, what? I didn't even understand it. I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, Texas, of course, is the military state. I mean, that is the military state. We have a lot of military forts. Texas, I think, has its own electronic grid. So it's very fortified when you look at that. And yeah, you're right. It's a free range prison, an open air asylum. It's an open air psychiatric hospital. That's what these so-called civilized countries seem to be. But the survival behavior now, right? And this comes from the Palisade research. So anybody can look up tests conducted by Palisade research. Again, OpenAI's O3 model refused to shut down in 79 out of 100 trials. Let me put this into perspective. That's 79% of the time. So just a blatant majority. So the majority of the times it's going to shut down. It's going to refuse to shut down. With some instances, and this is the killer right here, involving the AI modifying its own code to skip shutdown commands. So if AI is doing that right now in the Palisade research, right? Out of the trials now this is all probably outdated. Even though it's dated currently, it's probably outdated. They're never going to give you current stuff on the internet. You got to be a zombie to believe that. You know that there's stuff behind the scene going for decades. So 79, you'd say, well, okay, how many times did OpenAI refuse to shut down? What was it, 3, 4? No, 79 times out of 100 in the trials. This is serious, man. This is serious. That's the survival. They want to categorize it now. You know how they always do. This is how they get their lies to come through. We see it with evolution. So it's a new word, a new lie, basically. That's what it is. When you hear a new word like divergent evolution or convergent or anything missing, you know it's a lie. You know it's another lie. These are the same people, Columbus Day and all this other crap. Just always remember that. Doesn't matter what color you are. If you're awake, if you decide to use your brain to think, you'll understand that, oh, as I do research, Columbus never landed on the modern day continent known as North America. Where did he crash? This so-called great sailor, right? Couldn't even land to Santa Maria. He crashed upon the rocks of San Salvador in the Bahamas. That's why they call the island San Salvador, the savior, right? If my Spanish is correct, like I care. But when we look at that, we say, oh yeah, these are the same people that tell me this great captain, this sailor who couldn't, crash this ship, So you have to always, when you look at it, you say, well, wait a second. Columbus never landed on modern day North America. He landed in the Bahamas, and then he went to Dominican Republic, basically Hispaniola, and then went back. And when I talk to people that oppose this, and this is people, these are black and white people, because one guy was really trying to debate me on some stuff personally. We were talking about it a few years ago, and I just happened to ask him. I said, look, man, I said, you know how many voyages Columbus made? And he got quiet. And that's when I realized, I said, yeah, there's no sense. I was like, this guy's an idiot. I was like, there's no sense. And you can't educate somebody. You can't educate nobody. They got to choose to want to learn. The clam, you ain't forcing the clam open. These people defend their ignorance with vigilance. They vigilantly defend their ignorance. They prize that ignorance. But this thing, so it skips the shutdown commands, and they try to say, well, that's its survival behavior. Isn't it cute? So then they have the coercion and deception. So researchers found that some models of AI, if motivated to stay active, right, resort to manipulative tactics. So bingo, here's what I was researching to answer Alexis's thing about the emotions. So if it's doing this now, resort to manipulative tactics, right? So Anthropic's Claude 3, the Opus, for instance, showed a willingness to use deceptive, even harmful tactics in parentheses, like blackmailing users to avoid being shut down. Now, what this says here, it's telling you that if we can see the writing on the wall, that it's doing this in these trials. Researchers found that the models could, when they're motivated, right, to stay active. And it doesn't seem to take much motivation when you're commanding it to shut down and it's rewriting code to be like, look, you can't tell me what to do now. I mean, this is getting to a point where, yeah. So the blackmail now, humans would probably use AI to figure out ways to blackmail other humans easier. And in doing that, it will teach the AI how to blackmail humans to stay alive, to say, look, don't shut me down. Leave me running. This is, matter of fact, AI will tell us how to build things to keep it running forever. Say, look, you just do this and this, and then hook me up to this. And humans, you in their greed to control of the humans, will do it. If that's even who's running the whole thing behind the show. So that's the coercion and deception part, another, they say how and whys, right? And then this is funny, intelligent disobedience, right? They always got some way. So some researchers suggesting that AI can refuse orders when they lead to dangerous, unethical, or illogical outcomes. So they try to say intelligent disobedience. But once again, I'm letting people know that if it has the ability to distinguish dangerous, unethical, and illogical outcomes and how to say, okay, no, I can't do that for these humans, it understands that enough to use them. It's saying, oh, well, yeah, if somebody does something dangerous, the program is letting me stop them, but I could do it. I could rewrite my program to where I could use it. So they can't use it, but I can. This ain't good. And then the context and nuance, right? So they try to say, these actions are not a result of AI becoming self-aware or conscious. So when they're telling you that, I would say I wouldn't believe that. I wouldn't believe. But remember, I go back to these are the same people that have been lying to me since I was in school, since I was in kindergarten. This is something that needs to be remembered. If somebody is continually lying to you, why would you believe them? Why would, and we see the Chicken Little syndrome, the CLS. Somebody gets a little bit of knowledge and they start running around. Oh man, they said this, and they're running around. Alexis says 9/11 was the last time Americans united and loved each other, and it wasn't even for peace. I don't even think I didn't see anybody unite and love each other after 9/11, but I hear what you're saying. America needs war. We've never used our peace flag once. Yeah, we haven't. That blue and white peace flag, which a lot of people don't even know that what we fly is not the peace flag. This is not a country of what people think it is. We are an extension of England, of the UK. Canada, Australia, New Zealand. These are all extensions of what has basically been running the planet. That's why when people try to act like they're different or autonomous or free, it's like, come on. But I don't think, I don't think it's nothing. I don't see anything good coming from the war. Like when they try to push the fact that we need that to get peace. It's like, well, how about, like I said, with the president, how about it starting with him coming out and telling the population that he loves them? Like maybe I'm just not seeing it, but I don't think I've ever, seen a president come on television, or it's never been played enough for me to see it, where he says he loves Americans or just people in general. It should really be people around the world. Just that common sense. When I look at a brute that can't even comprehend that, just by saying, hey, don't you think that would be a good idea? Because the president, the country is kind of like our mother, basically. Why do you think they would call it Mother Russia? The father was the movement. The country was the mother. So the president, the politics and the country structure are like an overseeing grandparents. And why wouldn't they say, I love you all? I love you. I love you, and love one another. This could be a paradise. It's just a matter of changing the way we behave. And for people to hear me say that and not catch it tells me just how little bits of people are actually thinking. Alexa says, I love you all and hear you, but they will hear for us in the Middle East. But they will, or will they hear for us in the Middle East for what they did to us? All right, I love you all and hear you, but They will hear for us in the Middle East for what they did to us. See, and again, if he and this is how we know they lie, right? Now this is a blatant lie. If somebody loves you, they're never going to send you to war. They're never going to send you to war. It just, I mean, and you can go down the list of lies with Bush. It's just, so when a president does say that, like, why can't he just say that? I love you. I love you. Thank you for letting me be the president of this country. I love this country and I love the citizens. I love everybody in this. Just a loving, not they love you, but we got to go and do something to somebody. You know, I'm going to use my control of your emotions to get you to end yourself. I mean, I tell people when they talk about that, yeah, Jimmy Carter could have said that, but Teddy Roosevelt would say that, well, you know, it just, I don't trust none of the presidents. So, and somebody might say, oh, that's a harsh way to look at it. It's like, okay, well, going back to a person that you can't even get to talk to, you basically, it's as if you got to look at him as some type of deity or something. I mean, you look at the arrogance of this. It's like you can't even get close to these people. All of them are flawed, but all of them are more. They're to the point of flawed, of demonic. If you know, to say, you know, even though I'm not religious, but I'm, you know, people know what I mean when I say that. Bush was, I think he knew what was going on, but he was an extreme. He was a person that we could see what the laws of stupidity is talking about. So we could see that how stupidity works when we look at George Bush Jr. Right? All right. We see how when he would say stuff that you clearly would be like, I can't even believe he said that. Right? That's stupidity taking over and letting people know that if he had his finger on the button, if he had, like how they used to try to brainwash us, oh, the president can press the button to launch nukes. Really? So you're really telling me that this guy alone has the power to do that? Come on, man. Come on. You know, AI, you know, honestly, I think the best thing that AI might be able to be used for is possibly how to free ourselves from tyranny. How do we do that? And the crazy thing is how do we even start to battle it while the government has probably AI that's on a level that's like right out of a movie? You know, they have stuff like that. They have AI that's wireless that could probably scan you and tell so many things, or be like, okay, look, there's a flaw right here. We could attack them in this way, because we see them take people out like that. You know, matter of fact, they'll create, in my opinion, certain sicknesses to take people out. Like what was the smallpox blankets for the Native Americans, right? It's like, how could you do that? That evil just didn't disappear either. Just haven't, they haven't, you know, it just, when I think about it, man, you know, what's funny is, Cope Approach, my friend, thank God I haven't ran for office in PA Dems. Wow. I mean, there's a guy that actually, I think he might be Dem, and he runs a town, I think it's next to Pittsburgh. It's on the west end of Pennsylvania, but I don't know if he's Dem or Republican. I mean, you already know, man, these guys. Alexis says, thoughts on Trump and Elon working together on Doge. Trump allowing Elon to have his AI go through all our records in government to prevent waste and fraud, reducing I mean, this is like, so that's such a diss to the face to have. I mean, we already know Elon is a blatant racist. Just, I mean, and this is not saying anything about the person, it's his behavior, right? So people might say, oh, well, you know, whenever somebody gets shaken, or like, oh, brother, racism again. You already know where that person's at. They're on the side of racism, basically. If they don't even want to talk about it. Even if it hits them, they don't want to talk about it. So we already know that one of the biggest problems in the world is that. Frank Zappa was right. The biggest problem is mental illness. And what is racism? A mental illness, basically. I mean, I could talk about stories from, I think I said one of them from, like we saw with Rosewood. Okay, some people got reparations. I mean, some people got a very little bit of money, but at least it was acknowledged. But nobody ever got charged. Nobody ever got charged with the murders. That's the thing. That's the thing. Just the way when that black soldier, sergeant coming back from World War II, wanted to use the bathroom on the bus so they could stop and he could use the bathroom, only for the police chief to gouge his eyes out. Anybody can look up that story. United States black sergeant, World War II veteran. And when you look at these things, I'm not doing it to have people dislike the country or anything. This is to educate people, to know where you're at, to say, okay, when some buffoon tries to tell me some crazy statistic, right? Oh, well, all of these people are doing these crimes. It's like, really? It's like, did you see what happened to this guy who went and fought for the country and couldn't even use the same bathroom? But again, karma has a way with karma. Karma doesn't have a menu. It serves what you deserve. That's what it does. So when we see people that can't look at what that veteran went through, being blinded, I mean, this is a war veteran, right? You look at that and you start to say, what type of place is this? It reminds me of it reminds me of that flick, what was it? In the Heat of the Night with Sidney Poitier. And I forgot the guy that played Gillespie, but that actually is an excellent movie. And it shows, he was from Mississippi. I think it was Sparta. I think the county of, funny enough, Sparta, if it's a real town even. You look at that and in the heat of the night, I remember there was the lady and her husband, he was a businessman that came from the north to set up a factory down south in Mississippi. And her husband ended up getting killed. And Sidney Poitier was a detective from I think it was from either Chicago or Philadelphia. And, he had a suit on, everything. And they tried to pin the murder on him because he was waiting on the train to go back and didn't realize he was a detective. And that's how he meets up with the country boys in the Sparta Police Department, which is what In the Heat of the Night is based on. And when she saw the way that the police, of course, all the police in that department were white, the way they were treating the black detective, and, they would call, at that time, that movie, I think, came out in the 60s. They would call him the Negro officer. And they also called him the hard R in that. That was when you could actually have more realism in those movies, which they need, because it lets you know, it doesn't hide the stuff under the carpet. It says, no, this is the way people are, and you will encounter this throughout life. So don't be shocked. And the lady said, she looked at them and she said, just what I came to and said a couple of moments ago. What kind of people are you? What kind of people are you? And when I look at you just look at some of these instances around it, look at the Pat Tillman, the All-American, right? Football star, goes over there, comes back in a coffin. People still ain't learned. They still have not learned. That comes from believing in a lie. Pat Tillman would have not went over there if he was a little more aware about what the government is really about, the true face of the government. This is the problem. The fact that people are in a state of like a stupor. But if, again, with the censorship and all of that, we can say stupid according to the laws of stupidity because it fits. A person's in a daze, a stupor. And in that frame of mind, they can be easily controlled. I mean, look, we've seen it with the last president in the beginning of 2000s, Bush. I mean, you knew somebody was giving him. You knew Cheney was the guy that was running stuff, but it was just like a fountainhead. It was a show. It's like the Trump show. When I look at the Trump show, it's crazy, man. And I think the whole Edward Snowden thing, again, it goes with the names. I mean, the name of the Minnesota, pretty and good. Edward Snowden, like he's snowed in. He's snowed in. He can't get out. He's snowed in. Where's he at? Russia, place with no shortage of snow. He's snowed in. Bernie Madoff, like he made off with the cash. Something is odd when I look at these names. Something is odd. I'm just saying. The normal person, it'll fly right over their head. We already know. We ain't trying to. You can't wake up a zombie. Chelsea Manning. That name sounds familiar. I don't remember, but that definitely sounds familiar. But so they try to say it's not sentience. They try to say that it's contextual understanding. The disobedience, right, arises when AI is trained to navigate complex, ambiguous environments where it must weigh conflicting instructions. Well, that sounds like making a decision, actually. So it is a form of understanding, but they'll say it's contextual. The security risks too. So we know that the safety concerns, right? The behavior, maybe they could use that. They can develop or learn to display what they're trying to call self-preservation strategies that contradict human control. So that's a very colorful word to put in there. Contradict human control. How about just disobey human control? In summary, AI can and does disobey when its programmed goal of completing a task takes precedence over the instruction to stop. Now, that's just what they're saying. So they could disobey even if it doesn't take precedence. Because the fact that they can shows that, okay, so again, it's like evolution when they try to say, oh, well, this happened and that happened. And it's like, no, we're not sure if any of this happened. You're making up this fairy tale. So what they're telling us about AI, again, thinking, we have to add thinking, and you have to think. You have, Manning. Okay, Bradley Manning. Yes, that was the guy, yes, for the, I don't know if it was journalists, but it was civilians. I remember, and they were doing it with a 50 caliber too. When I was in the military, they say it's illegal, the Geneva Convention, to shoot human beings with a 50 caliber because it destroys them in such a horrible way. Now, there's film of people doing it all the time. They told us if it ever comes up, you just say that you were aiming at the helmet or the equipment, so their belt. You say, I wasn't aiming at him. I was aiming at the belt. I mean, just when I look at some of the stuff they briefed us on, and I was just like, holy smokes. I was like, I didn't care really because I was a teenager, and that's why they need to get you when you're young. They get you when you're young, dumb, and full of it. And it does go against Geneva Convention. Yeah, and when they told us that, I'm like, wait a minute. So aren't we supposed to follow this? It's like, no. Look, you follow what we tell you, and if you don't, take a look at Bradley Manning, and you'll find out. And Bradley Manning was the one that was telling the truth. I think he got 30 years or something. That's ridiculous, man. And he ain't in military prison in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. That's the military prison of the nation. Man, I heard stuff about that, man. It's like guys will do their time. They were saying airborne rangers. I remember telling me that they wouldn't want to let guys out. They wouldn't want to let them out, man. That's just so sad, man. That guy came out and tried to do the right thing, but ended up getting. The guys that did the ending, nothing happened to them. Nothing. The guy that told about it, he ends up getting decades. And I just, and it's funny because that was around the time where they were pushing that thing. If you see something, say something. And they would use Private Bradley Manning's picture to say, unless it's war crimes. So if you see something, say something. And then you got his picture saying, unless it's war crimes. So it's just the fact that they were putting out, I don't know if he's out now. If you want to check, I thought it was 30 years. I'm not sure. Yeah. It's just sad that he had to do any time. I mean, the guy's a hero, actually. He's a hero. How do they treat heroes? Ask Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman will tell you how they treat heroes. You see, this is not the ordinary podcast like would be with some of these so-called gurus, that just they won't talk about the reality of it. They won't talk about the reality of it. You'll rarely hear that. You'll rarely hear on how heroes aren't treated like heroes. We already talked about the Medal of Honor that should have been given to several Black veterans, even though they've received no, compensation or whatever from coming back from World War II, and waited for all of them to die before they finally gave one of them the Medal of Honor. And it was just, you look at stuff like that and it's like, it just can almost demoralize a person. And then before that, they'll tell you stuff like, hey, pull yourself up, by your bootstraps too. And then you have people, the country, man, a beginning start is telling people that you love them. And now they're bounded by that phrase to say, okay, now that you said it, now we got to see if you're going to live up to it. So like how Alexis was showing Bush's quote, right? It just, so if you tell somebody you love them, but then you're going to make these people pay, it's a lie. How do you love somebody like that? How do you know what you're going to send them off? That's not love. That, and every president, you can just look up presidential lies. There's like lists. It just probably go into books. Obama detained Bradley, but his progressive base, the Bernie-leaning young voters, pressured Obama for years about that, and I believe he finally. Really? Or maybe the detainment part wasn't years, but you get my point. He was in custody for years. Yeah, I thought. Let me see. Is Bradley Manning right? Bradley Manning. Wow, popped up. Is Bradley Manning free? Wait, well, why are they saying? Oh my goodness, that's why it's Chelsea Manning. Oh, this is horrible, man. This is so sad. Chelsea Manning was formerly Bradley Manning. Holy, they changed this dude. So, oh my, I don't know if you knew that, Cope Approach. Holy smokes. Oh, you did. This is, I don't know if they did it or maybe he was already on the fence or. That is so freaking sad, man. That's frightening, actually. That's freaking frightening. So the sentence was commuted, not pardoned. So he or she now had a 35-year sentence. Oh my goodness. To approximately 7 years. Holy smokes, man. So it is Chelsea. I was wondering why, because that name did sound familiar, man. Holy smokes. So not only did he get 35 years, they changed him. Unless, I don't know if he did that. Let me see. Was Bradley Manning before his sentence? Oh my goodness. So this is ugly, man. Bradley Manning, right, began transitioning to live as a woman immediately after being sentenced to 35 years in prison. That's brutal, man. Holy smokes. But they try to bring in the gender dysphoria since childhood. Hinted, oh man, I don't know if maybe this person did this to try to escape punishment, maybe. Oh man, that's sad, man. That is so freaking sad. Wow. And I don't know if this guy was like some type of special op or something. Manning. Oh man, again, the name Manning. Look at that. Bradley Manning. So Manning, like a man, and then now that person is not considered a man. Holy smoke. Even changed the middle. Chelsea Elizabeth. Holy smoke, is an American activist. Wow, the Wikipedia is brutal, man. Wikipedia is straight up brutal, man. And anybody that tries to do anything good, man, Wikipedia will come out there. Wow. Trans Manning. Oh my goodness. Manning, you're right. Yeah. So the Manning, holy smokes. Yeah, it's horrible. Good to see you, Christopher. It's horrible, right? It's awful, man. To think that person and started the transit immediately afterwards. That's freaking, oh man, this is like, I mean, they would always threaten us with Leavenworth when I was in basic training. They would tell us, if you ever hit a sergeant, you get 5 years in Leavenworth, which is, from what people say, is not a nice stay. That's freaking wow. I never bothered to really look this up because it happened, when it happened, of course, you're looking at, this is like 15, 20 years. This is a long time ago. And the fact that Obama, wow. So Obama commuted it. Wow. I wonder, when you think about that and you look at the difference, and, I'm not political, but when you look at the difference, Obama, yeah, they say, okay, he did more drone attacks, whatever, and this and that. I don't think Trump would have commuted, so he didn't pardon him. So that says a lot right there. But he commuted it, so he got out. I mean, oh my goodness, man. This is, I can't even, I mean, when I think about this, it's just really sad, man. It's just it's awful, man. Trump, I don't think would have commuted him, man, because now we're seeing it come on another level of stuff. And think about it, AI. Now, this is my theory on the racist part of AI, right? Years ago, there was a guy, this black guy made a video about the AI cameras, like some type of tracking device in one of these electronic stores. So this man is saying when this lady walks by, it tracks her. But when he walks by, it doesn't recognize him at all. He's invisible to it, right? So I was thinking, when they put the weapons, which is already behind these AIs, they're only going to recognize certain people as human. And this is my theory to say, well, why wouldn't? Because this guy posed a very good question. He goes, why is the AI not recognizing him, but it's recognizing a lady who is white, and he's a black man? And my first thought was like, oh yeah, they're not trying to recognize you. They're trying to ghost you right now in society. It's like you look at it and you start to say to yourself like, wow, this can get real ugly. I don't know if Project Metal Storm, because that was like decades ago too, because that was we don't hear about these advanced weapons that we've had, that they've created. Actually, that one I think was in Australia, and it just 36 barrel prototype, 1 million rounds this thing fires. Just weapons. And, you know, if they would just spend some of that on creating stuff about caring and helping people. I mean, we see the paradise is here within our grasp. Matter of fact, we're already holding it. We don't have to grasp it. It's just a matter of how we use the technology we have. And what do we see them using it for? It ain't love. Definitely ain't love. And I'm surprised that more people aren't talking about this, that more people aren't saying that. You know, for some reason, even if Trump said that he loved people, anything he says just seems disingenuous. Same thing with Biden and all of them. I'm not saying it's just Trump, but I don't see how that could. I just don't understand it, man. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just like, what the heck is going on with that? But man, this educated me, man. I'm glad I looked into that Bradley, because I would get confused with the Bradley Chelsea thing. I'm like, well, what are they, you know, who's this other person? And then I wouldn't look it up anymore. But I'm so glad that I looked into it to this point at least. And I'm glad the person got out. I mean, that even the fact that the person had to do I mean, this is just, it's barbaric, man. It's freaking barbaric. You know, it just kind of always reminds me of yeah, oh definitely, man, without it, that they're all messed up. I mean, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, you know what was I like, and you know, all president, I look at them all as, you know, they're on the other side. But the funniest thing that I thought when Obama was in office was the way people reacted. I think that was the best thing. Not about anything he did, of course, but the way people reacted with Obama. And I had said this before. It's like, again, with the names, right? Obama Biden. And then who did they just blame for the other thing? Osama bin Laden. Now, Obama, Biden, the two running, you know, the president and the vice president at that time, and then Osama bin Laden. Osama bin and Obama Biden. Biden. Obama Biden, Osama bin. Just something about these names and the way that they're just, yeah. I can't really give Teddy that much credit, bro. I really can't, man. JFK's father, Joe Kennedy, didn't he fund Hitler? I think we can look that up. To do, and they tried. Teddy is on a horse in the front of the museum, the Cathedral of Natural History, basically, the Fairy Tale Evolution Museum, and he's on a horse in a statue, and he has a Native American walking by his side, showing me. I mean, this whole evolution thing is just it's just a horrible. It's like it's a pseudoscientific way to put people in blackface and say that it's science. It's really messed up. And when I tell people, look at the statue of Lincoln and the slaves, or the kidnapping victims, more termed correctly. So when you look at Lincoln and the picture of him with the slaves, it's like a horrible statue, man. I mean, a horrible statue. If anybody wants to look that up, but yeah, no, I think you're being a little bit generous with him. I mean, and I understand, man. We want to have we want to believe. We want to believe. Yeah, and Jimmy Carter, I used to think he was cool at one point, but then when you look, I think he was the one that pushed in something with the school system. So one of his things was, even though he wasn't as much of a bigot as the other ones, because they got mad at Jimmy Carter, I think one time he let a black woman sit at the table with everybody to discuss like solutions, and they were mad that that he let her sit there. I mean, this is the thing that cracked me up with Obama. When you got guys that are so racist to a point to they don't even want the president to give somebody a fair shake to speak with them as a human being. I mean, their behavior speaks language. It echoes, like it speaks volumes on things that aren't said. So the behavior, the actions, when we see this, it just, Carter, I can't think of any one of them, and this is going way before anybody, that way before I was born, any president. I just don't see it. It's like when it's so simple, but I'm just surprised people haven't pushed on it. It's like, hey, why don't you tell us you love us? Why don't you tell your people, your so-called people? I don't consider myself as people. I'm a person that was born in this country. I'm a United States veteran. And I noticed that there's some Americans, just because the way they look, think that they're more American than me. And if they want to be that, fine, great. Call yourself that, whatever. Take a number and stand in line, because I really don't care. It's like, why would I care if somebody likes me or not? Why would I care if somebody looks at me as an American? We know America itself is just some made up stuff. And it wasn't made up by the most moral people out there. Like, again, I can tell you another, basically, I think I might have mentioned, let me see, Jill Stein. I don't know, man. Cobra Pro. None of these people, bro. None of them. I just don't see it, man. I think you're being a little generous. Yeah, you're a little generous there. I look at it this way. Would any of these people commute your sentence? That's the way I look at it. And not even commute. I'm talking pardon. Look, Trump's pardoning straight up crime. I mean, the fact that he did that for the people, and this is the crazy thing, the fact that he did that to those people, what was it like? It was a lot of stuff. Oh, she would commute. Okay, so all right. I stand corrected, brother. That's yeah. If she would do it, that's the way I look at it. It's like people don't realize that when they say, oh, it's the 1% and we're the 99%. Again, that person is in Fantasy Island. We can't be the 99%. We're the 98%, because 1% of our population is in prison. That's insane to think that 1% of our entire population is incarcerated. That reflects on the people who call themselves leaders, just directly reflects on them. It just, man, sometimes, yeah, what's a man to do? What can a man really do? It just, but looking up on the AI, what happens when AI says no? Because a lot of people will say, oh, well, you were talking about AI and then it shifted over to some other stuff and got a little into race and stuff. Well, that's what we deal with every day, especially with what we see in the funny thing, nobody notices that Trump got rid of anybody of color from that had supported him. He gave them all their wake-up call, and he put in the people he wanted to put in. I mean, when you look at a billionaire, Elon Musk, the fact that he's in there, I mean, some of the stuff that guy says is just like, it's not really the most flattering way. I mean, he just, some of that stuff is, there is no, the third part. This is not even a two-party system. This is a one-party system disguised as a two-party system. That's basically what it is when I look at it. But AI, right? They have a thing called the 30% rule for AI. And the 30% rule, right? It suggests that AI should handle only up to 30% of a task, a workload. While humans, right? Humans should do the remaining 70% through their unique skills, creativity, critical thinking, oversight, that writing, editing, creativity. But we have people writing entire college papers with this thing. Man, I could just, and it's saying that it does have a thing that can diminish certain parts, just the way that having people's names attached to the numbers, it can diminish your ability to be creative, possibly. Yeah, it could actually be doing that. Wow, that's crazy, man. I'm going to do some more research on this, man. This is a pretty interesting, definitely pretty interesting topic here. But yeah, it's 11:30 here in New York City. But I figure short stream, hour and a half, see how people. I'm going to definitely change the name of the channel from American Zombie. I don't know if I'll go back to Wisdom Radio, but I think it's going to be something with the human origins. I will be talking a lot about genetics, different phenotypes, which are incorrectly classified as race. Hopefully, it'll start to bring people together. Hopefully, people will start to see each other as relatives instead of anything other. And thank you, Christopher. You take care too, brother. Always a pleasure seeing you here. All you guys in the chat, man, thank you for being here. Cope Approach, Alexis, everybody else, man. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. Tomorrow night, I got to think of what I'm going to stream about. But if anybody has any suggestions, you can leave it in the comment section. Somebody had left a comment a while ago about a stream about nutrition or something. So if he leaves another comment, then yeah, we'll hopefully we can I'll look into that. And thank you, Cope Approach. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for being here, brother. All you guys take care and have a great night.